Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and happy Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition release day. The game has come out, there are stellar reviews, we are going to talk a bit about this game itself today, but what I want to more so focus on is how Xenoblade Chronicles X actually has me even more excited for this secret new Nintendo IP that Monolith Soft has been working on for essentially the entire Switch era. 8+ years. This game, I think we may see in the Switch 2 Direct, and even if we don't, I don't think it's too far off, and I think it's a pretty big deal. I've actually been touching on this idea a few different times in some of my videos over the last few weeks, and we certainly talked about this subject several times over the last few years, but today I want to do a little bit more of a focus on this game and how big of a deal I think it is, especially with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition in mind. But before going forward, let me take this moment to point out that I am aiming to reach 50,000 subscribers by the time the Switch 2 launches. So if you find yourself enjoying my content, I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and hit that notification bell. So the first thing I would like to clear up here is dispelling this idea that this new IP from Monolith Soft is some sort of myth or a rumor. It's more than that. It's a legitimate thing that has been known. Now, we don't know for sure if it will ever come out, so yes, there is still reason to take this all with a grain of salt, but this was at least a real project that Monolith Soft has been working on for a very long time. Taking a look at this article from August 20th, 2017, from Nintendo Everything, Xenoblade developer Monolith Soft recruiting for ambitious new project. Here it reads, on its newly refreshed website, the company says it's planning an ambitious project different from Monolith Soft's brand image. Monolith is recruiting staff who can take on the challenge with them of releasing a title for the global market. And here's another article from 2017 about this same new IP hiring. Monolith Soft highlights the following as important points for the potential hire: those with much knowledge of online games, those with much knowledge of medieval and fantasy settings, those with much knowledge of trends, pop culture, and entertainment in overseas countries. And so taking a look at Monolith Soft's website now, the website has changed over the years, but something that has been consistent are these two hiring spots right here. They've always been hiring for The Legend of Zelda because they do support work for The Legend of Zelda, and they've also always been hiring for Animal Crossing and Splatoon. As you see, there's an Animal Crossing picture here, a Splatoon picture here, because they also do support work for those series as well. But here you'll see this new RPG project. This is a new thing that was added last year. Before then, they always had this hiring post for this new IP with these different pieces of concept art that all look amazing. Now, maybe we shouldn't look too deeply into this concept art because it is from years ago and there's certainly a debate on how relevant they actually may be to the game, but what we do know is that they were hiring for a new project, a new IP, with action elements, medieval fantasy elements, and they wanted talent with experience with online games. And this hiring page was up throughout the entire Switch era until last year. They put this up instead, and what's interesting about this is that this is shortly after the release for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and its DLC expansion, Future Redeemed. And with that, the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, the Klaus story, has been completed. So now Monolith Soft is moving on to another direction for their RPG series. Now, maybe the next RPG game is still a Xeno game of some kind, perhaps it even still has a Xenoblade as part of the name, or maybe it's something else, we are unsure. But one thing I want to clarify here is that that hiring page cannot be construed for a Xenoblade project. Even going back to a few years ago, here's a snapshot of different hirings that they had on their page. Here, clearly it's for Zelda. Here, clearly it's for Xenoblade. That's the Titan from Xenoblade 1. And here is one of the concept arts there. This is for the new IP. They were always treated as separate entities. And so this project is a real thing. And they were hiring for it for years. For 7 straight years, 2017 through 2024. Now the question is, did they take down the hiring page because there is no longer a game to work on because it's never going to come out? Or did they take down the hiring page because they no longer need to hire because they are close enough to completion with the project? These are the two possibilities. Now, I will also point out from last year a variety of different codename leaks that came from the user Midori, who's known to have a very, very strong record. We've already seen some of these code leaks come to fruition, such as Super Mario Party Jamboree and Echoes of Wisdom. And yes, I've been bringing these up a lot lately because I do think these codename leaks are a really good blueprint for what to expect in the not-so-distant future for Nintendo. And one of those projects is Project Legacy. And as reported by Midori, you'll see it's no longer found because the post was taken down, but we have a record of it here thanks to My Nintendo News. Midori had said on May 28th, 2024, "I was told a few months ago that Monolith Soft was working on a project with codenamed Legacy, but I do not have any other information." So we have this leak here of codenamed Legacy, this project that Monolith Soft is working on. And no, Legacy does not tie to Xenoblade. All the different Xenoblade names have to do with big folk, little folk, Titan, things like that. It does not relate. The consensus is that Legacy is the project they've been hiring for this entire time. And so, while it's not guaranteed, I have strong optimism that we are going to see this new IP project. I think Monolith Soft is going to start fresh with Switch 2 and this new IP. Which brings me to Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. How does it relate to this story? Well, one, obviously, it's a Monolith Soft project. And with the release of Xenoblade Chronicles X today, we have the entire Xenoblade series on Nintendo Switch. Xenoblade Chronicles 1, we have Future Connected, its epilogue story. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, we have Torn of the Golden Country, its prologue story. We have Xenoblade Chronicles 3, its prologue story, if you want to call it that. And now we have Xenoblade Chronicles X and its bonus story content as well. There is so much Xenoblade to enjoy. We have 4 massive campaigns that can easily take you 100 plus hours, and then at least 3 other campaigns that could take you 30 to 40 hours. I'm talking about the DLCs and expansion content. And I'm not exactly sure what the new content for Xenoblade Chronicles X entails at this point. I have not paid attention to the leaks because I want at least something new with my experience with Xenoblade Chronicles X. But that's something as well. The Switch is the ultimate Xenoblade machine, and thank goodness Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible. We are going to be able to enjoy all these different games on the Switch 2 as well. These games will be readily available on modern platforms for many years to come, and it may be the case that Nintendo will offer some sort of enhancement for some Switch 1 games, which may include some of these Xenoblade games on Switch 2 as well, to further help to future-proof them. But I bring this up because I do think Monolith Soft, especially when you also take into account that they have concluded the Klaus trilogy story, that they've done everything they need to do with Xenoblade, and they are going to use the Switch 2, the new generation, to do something new, to try something else, and maybe that's where this new IP comes in. But I also have a lot more excitement for this new IP when I take a look at Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. First off, this game on Metacritic is at an 88. That's very impressive, especially considering that the original Xenoblade Chronicles X release, 10 years ago almost, back in 2015 on the Wii U, had a Metacritic score of 84, which was pretty good for the time, but it's more so impressive that the score has gone up after almost a whole decade, because typically remasters, remakes, the score of amazing classics don't go up, but go down a little bit, just a few points. One great example, Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime initially, its score was 98, one of the highest reviewed games of all time. Metroid Prime Remastered, an excellent remaster, one of the most impressive games on Switch, one of the highest reviewed games of the generation, a 94 on Metacritic. It went down 4 points, yet it was still an excellent work, and it's still absolutely worth picking up. My point is, to see Xenoblade Chronicles X go up 4 points with its Definitive Edition, that says a lot. One, I think it speaks on the improvements we've seen with the Definitive Edition. Yeah, the visuals have been improved somewhat, despite the fact that the Switch is only a little bit more powerful than the Wii U. The overall visuals are more vibrant, the characters have been improved upon, it does seem to run a little bit better. But it's really all the other things that make this remaster all the more significant. The fact that they've gone a lot more efficient with the amount of space this game takes up, Back on Wii U, you would need to do an extra download to be able to play the game in its full capacity, or get an external hard drive if you got the game digitally. You needed a lot more space, and so not needing to do that this time around is already a huge plus. Them fixing the font issue was probably the main concern I had about a potential remaster of this game, and they did. The font is no longer small. It is a reasonable size and easy to read. And on that note, the overall user interface has been improved dramatically. It looks so clean, so easy to use. And there are a variety of other amazing quality of life updates. The guide system is far improved. They have this new combat mechanic with quick recast. It really speeds up the cooldowns for your arts and really allows you to get into the combat more quickly. You can pick party members at any point from the pause menu as opposed to having to go to exact locations in this massive world, which was really annoying back with the original release. And then of course they've also added some new content. There are new characters, there are new quests, there is the expansion to the story at the end, which I don't know much of, and hopefully it's really awesome and we can finally get some better closure with that cliffhanger from the original release's end. And so this game is a very nice remaster. But I think what's most impressive is just how well it holds up 10 years later, basically. Because for the most part, what we're looking at is a 2015 Wii U game. And yet now, because the Switch is so much more popular, a lot more people are talking about Xenoblade Chronicles X. There's a lot of people who are so impressed by this game. And I think it just goes to show just how incredible the talents of Monolith Soft truly are. If they could pull this off with a 2015 game on the Wii U, what can they accomplish with the Nintendo Switch 2 many years later on a project that they've been taking their time with, tinkering with, for what seems to be 8+ years, which is more than enough time to work on a single game. When you have all that in mind, I think it suggests that this next project from Monolith Soft is going to be an incredible game. And if it is also coming out this year of 2025, alongside Metroid Prime 4 Beyond and alongside the next 3D Mario, we might have a three-way battle for Game of the Year from 3 different internal Nintendo projects. I'm sure there will be other competitors, such as perhaps Grand Theft Auto, but that is the kind of potential this project offers. Imagining a massive open world with online elements, incredible vistas, and the art direction we've seen from the Monolith Soft series, but with all of the experience they've gained, with all the different Xenoblade games they've made, and all the support work they've done over the years, and that all coming together on this far more impressive piece of hardware that is the Switch 2, we could be looking at something absolutely incredible from a visual perspective, from a story perspective, from a gameplay perspective. Now, I do think it should be noted, as I have mentioned a few times in the last few weeks, that because of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, we should temper our expectations a bit here and not assume that this game is going to be in the direct. But going back to what I was talking about earlier, how these different codename leaks I'm kind of treating as a bit of a blueprint for what to expect next, because if some of them were imminent projects such as Jamboree and Echoes of Wisdom, what about the others? Say for Silver Star, all these other projects may be coming very soon. They may be the games that are coming out within that first year or first 12 months of Switch 2. And it does make sense to think that Monolith Soft would want to try and emulate some of the success they had with Xenoblade 2 by them putting that game out in the first year of Switch 1. It's the best-selling Xenoblade game. And so with a new IP with a potential to reach an entirely different audience, they may have an opportunity by putting out this game early on for Switch 2 to reach the largest audience they have yet. And considering just how great Monolith Soft games are, they absolutely deserve the success. The Xenoblade games do pretty good, and the games they help out with, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, and Zelda, are already mega sellers. But it will be nice to see Monolith Soft put out a project that gets that 10+ million mark. And maybe this new IP has that potential. We shall see. But what do you all think? Are you as excited as I am about this project? Even if it's not totally guaranteed that it will happen? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.